Are the X books back? Let's dive into it. Boom! What's up, familia? Dayspring here with an episode of Power of X-Men to discuss Age of Revelation Issue 0 by Jed MacKay and Humberto Ramos. Now, I was on vacation last week. I was at Disney World with my family. We went to Epic Universe, which was not so epic. And Epcot. My mom, who many of you know, has dementia. We wanted to take her on, I don't want to say like a final family trip, but a family trip where she was still capable of enjoying because she has taken a very sharp decline in the last few months. But anyways, so I didn't know what published last week. Typically, I don't know what publishes every week anymore, because long are the days where I would wake up first thing Wednesday morning and be like, what publish? I need to read all these X books. I mean, I think I've been pretty transparent since Trial of Magneto and Inferno back during the Krakoan age. I just sort of fell off the weekly X books, and I read them at my own pace. I prefer when they are Marvel Unlimited. When I get an advanced copy, I'm grateful for it. I will go buy the digital or physical copy to support, because I do believe in supporting the X-Men IP. But I was sort of jogging the other day, and I was on like mile 3, and one of the comic book YouTubers I see reviewed this, and that person gave it a very negative review. And I tend to agree with that person. I just want to be very clear about that. But as they were talking about it and breaking it down, I was like, are they being a little overly critical here? Are they being a little too meticulous? Because the story actually sounded fine. And so I was like, but I thought Age of Revelation wasn't happening till the fall. This is July. And I was like, oh, it's issue 0, and issue 0 came out. Surprise! And issue 0 came out. So completely caught off guard by this. So I was like, okay, I'll take a look. I'll take a read. I'll take a read on this. And so I downloaded it. And you know what? I liked it. Now, in fairness, though, I like Jed MacKay's writing. We've had Jed MacKay on the podcast. Well, I was going to say twice, but I interviewed him with Cole Lau back when I was doing Masters of Comic Books. We interviewed him there for his Black Cat and Moon Knight. And we also interviewed him last year at the start of From the Ashes. He is a great guy. I've seen him at cons before. He has recognized me. He has been very generous. He's very tall. I mean, I'm about 6 feet, and he was tall. Like, wow. So he must be like 6'3", 6'4". Very nice guy. Great writer. Heavily inspired by Grant Morrison, and I think you see those elements of Morrison here in Age of Revelation 0. Now, I think a lot of people would think, just because of the way the crossover is set up, that this is more like Age of Apocalypse, except Revelation. You're asking, who is Revelation? Revelation is Doug Ramsey. He became the Heir of Apocalypse in the Heir of the Apocalypse miniseries. And I kind of like what they said here, actually, in the issue, or maybe it was a commenter who said it. But regardless, I like this phrase, which is Doug Ramsey represented the weakest of all the mutants back in the day, and now he is the strongest. And, under that mindset for this crossover, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Jed MacKay, I think, is a great writer. My qualm with Jed will never be his actual writing, his structure, his dialogue. I think it's all on point. My thing is overall positioning, right? It's positioning of the characters and where they're at in a post-Krakoan era. That is not something I don't think that Jed MacKay can help, but it's something that Tom Brevoort and the editorial and Marvel as a publisher should be in charge of. So let's dive into this issue. As I said, I don't think this is Age of Apocalypse coded at all. This is Here Comes Tomorrow coded, especially with this shot right here. Basically, what we have here is a dystopian future where the timeline broke because of a single moment. And that single moment in this timeline is when Doug Ramsey is welcomed onto Cyclops' team. Now, we are covering Grant Morrison's new X-Men on the podcast. So we are not at Here Comes Tomorrow yet, because Here Comes Tomorrow is the finale. But Here Comes Tomorrow deals with the timeline broken at a certain point. In this case, for Grant Morrison, is when Scott walked away from Emma at Jean's grave. And the timeline gets reset by Scott and Emma coming together, because Jean pushes them together. And it avoids this dystopian future. That is 100% what happens here. Zorn even says it in the dialogue right there. Says the moment it broke, year zero of our timeline breaking, year zero of Age of Revelation is when Cyclops welcomed Doug Ramsey on the team. I should know, I was there. 100% that moment. It's not, I like Ramos quite a bit. It's not as dramatic. Like the Mark Silvestri pages for Here Comes Tomorrow, where that timeline breaks, where Cyclops walks away from Emma, you feel that that was an important moment. Here, it's just kind of like part of the panel. If you kind of like are just skimming it, you will miss that little detail. But this page right here of Zorn kind of in these ruins, these moss ruins. I mean, that's very much Tom Skylark going through the ruins of the mansion and Here Comes Tomorrow. So right there, it's 100% inspired. So again, it's interesting that they're building an entire crossover that's Here Comes Tomorrow coded. I bet no one in the X office knows that. Jed MacKay's like, I'm homogene. What I think is one of the greatest X-Men stories ever. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but I'm sure the X office has no clue. So here we are. There. So Revelation has taken over the territory around Philadelphia, and it is explained here that Revelation has a God voice. So one of the things he really wanted to do was free Fabian Cortez from prison, and Cyclops was like, "I don't think that's a good idea," and Doug Ramsey's like, "No, you agree with me," and he goes, "I agree with you. We'll hit Shield tonight." Now, I have a little bit of a qualm with that because in the post-Necrosha era, it was established, especially in New Mutants, when Doug Ramsey attacked Magma, and Magma's like, "I'll never forgive him." Doug Ramsey's like, "I created a special language for you so you can have something to know how sorry I am." And so he spoke a language that was specifically tailored to Magma. And that's how they sort of reconciled when Doug Ramsey, was raised by Selene and attacked the team, specifically Magma. I don't think he needs a God of Voice power set here, because I would have liked him to have been manipulating Cyclops, not as like mind control, but because he had tailored a language or understood how Cyclops makes language and expresses language that he could be on the same page. I mean, that is a fascinating and limitless part of Doug's power set, is that language is in everything, right? It's in the way that we express ourselves. It's in the way an architect designs plans. It's in the way that a designer designs clothes. I mean, that is language. And I don't think you need like a blanket god power, is all I'm saying. I think it would have been a little nicer for Cyclops to have been manipulated, because Doug Ramsey is quite literally speaking his language, not manipulating him. But he is going after Fabian Cortez because, as we will find out, his powers are amplified by Cortez. And right here, you can see the statue of Saint Cortez. I mean, come on. Of course I'm going to like this. I think Jed MacKay is a solid writer. You have Cortez and you have Ramsey. Like, two of my favorite characters out of the Krakoan era. I am obsessed with this. Again, and the art is fun. It's beautiful. Again, there is this post-apocalyptic. It's not as grim as like The Road, I would say, but it is more of a like Eden, Lepoki, California vibe to it, where it's just like there's this curiosity. Again, I think you have that curiosity with The Road, the novel The Road, but that is very bleak. I mean, this is kind of bleak, but it's not as graphically bleak, right? This is like fun bleak. This is fun dystopian. Anyways, another thing that I do want to point out here is also that Cyclops was possessed by Apocalypse during the 12, and it was something that was explored in Search for Cyclops, and something that was very much analyzed during New X-Men. And again, because Jed MacKay is drawing on so many elements from Grant Morrison's New X-Men, I'm curious why he hasn't sourced that Cyclops endured a lot of trauma and life-changing milestones while being possessed by Apocalypse. It's, again, this is when you start making the world feel a bit more fleshed out, when history does matter. Again, this is a story. I mean, the 12, Grant Morrison's New X-Men, we're going on 3 decades with them. So I get it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, why don't you talk about when that time Cyclops was possessed? But it's a missed opportunity, and I'm shocked because it's such low hanging fruit that Jed MacKay did not go for that. And again, I think it would be interesting to explore that side of Cyclops. Maybe we will. Anyways, so Cyclops leaves the team after that. I believe Magic died on the raid to save Cortez, and Juggernaut then left. And then a mysterious X virus started coming up in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia became quarantine, as you can see right there. And so people started getting angry. The U.S. Fought back, blaming the mutants. And Doug Ramsey was saying that this is our mutant land, and people were traveling to Philadelphia because they were still thinking of Krakoa. So right there, you have Psylocke. You have Psylocke and you have Kid Omega, and they were thinking about Krakoa still on their mind. So the prospect of having their own land, that was something really beautiful for them. The U.S. attacks, and as a missile is about to fall on their new land, Doug Ramsey, Cortez, and Vanisher come together, and Cortez is able to amplify Vanisher's powers, and he is able to teleport the missile to the Pentagon, and here you have the DC crater. Damn, like that's, oh dang, you know what I mean? Now, here's Zorn wandering this dystopian future. There's Mount Rushmore, but with Doug's face on it, and it's a heaven ruled by a devil. Cortez is being positioned as a major player for Doug Ramsey, and Cyclops, then an elder Cyclops, ends saying that his younger self needs to know how all these things happen. And here are the X-Men of tomorrow. We don't really get much information on them, but it looks like there's Beast, a Magneto-looking figure. I was like, is that Deathbird? We'll see. All of these characters will unpack once we get more information. And then, of course, we get the new titles, which we'll go through in a second. But yeah, so I thought it was a fun first issue. I said the same thing about Sins of Sinister. It was either issue 0 or issue 1, whatever the first issue of Sins of Sinister was. I was like, this is fun. Sign me up for this. I wish this was a summer read, because given how bright and energetic Humberto Ramos' art is, I would love to be reading it like right now on my terrace, in summer, and be like, oh, this is a great summer read. We have Imperium. I think it's Imperial by Jonathan Hickman, and that's fine. It's a heavy read. I would have preferred that for the fall, to be honest with you, especially since we're getting like the Xavier and Lalandra tie-in. So I would have put Age of Revelation, given how fun it is, more as a June title so we can enjoy it. Oh, and instead of the giant size books that are awful. They're terrible. And the Hellfire Vigil, all terrible. But this was fun. This was really, really fun. And they say X years from today. I wonder if it's 10 years from today, right? Is that how it goes? Here's a sketchbook, by the way. There you can see Deadpool, Undead Deadpool, Cable. Oh, looks absolutely great. Here's Wolverine or Dark Beast or someone else. Great question. I don't know. You tell me. You have Beast, you have Glob, you have Psylocke, Animalia, like Animalar, however you pronounce that name. I'm sorry, but this actually gives me these 5 right here. Well, especially with Sabretooth, Laura Kinney Sabretooth, this gives me the 6 vibes, right, from Mutant X. It gives me those vibes. There's Wolverine and Cyclops. I love Cyclops' design there. He looks so good. Yeah, there's Fearless, Fantastica, Kid, Man-Thing, and Magni. Very great designs. The designs look great. Absolutely wonderful. I've no qualms with it. I think you should go pick this up. You should go pick up this issue, read it. I will say, I think the Mount Rushmore with Doug's face on it, that's kind of cringe. I know there was someone who told me this about the rule of cool back when I was saying the Red Surfer, right? Remember during X Manhunt where Cyclops blasts Magic Sword and she, surfs to the ship that's getting away. She's like, I'm the Red Surfer. I was like, this is so lame. And someone was like, the rule of cool. fine. You can have rule of cool, but that wasn't a cool moment, and this isn't a cool moment. And I think that plays to a bit of a younger audience that I don't think the younger audience is there anymore. And when I say younger audience, I think anyone below the ages of like 18, let's say like your late teens. I don't see any kids at comic book stores anymore. When I was growing up, I saw other kids my age at comic book stores. I don't see any. I haven't seen kids at a comic book store in such a long time. I go to Midtown Comics in Midtown on 42nd Street, and I, of course, see tourists there who are coming to a comic book store, but sort of my local comic book stores. I go to the Midtown, like in Fidei. That's my like local comic book store. Never see any kids there. The ones here in Florida and South Florida, I don't see anyone. Again, there are exceptions when it's touristy or people are going in to buy Funko Pops or manga. But in terms of like the actual comic books, don't see a younger audience. So let's go through the titles. Now that I've ranted on that, and you're like, no one cares. So our titles are Amazing X-Men, Unbreakable X-Men, Expatriate X-Men, The Last Wolverine. All solid. Very happy with those 4 titles. Cloak or Dagger. Binary, which is it going to be Carol or Jean? Maybe both. I don't know. Obviously, Stephanie Phillips is going to be writing that. That's going to be the Substitute Phoenix title. Shrug. We'll see where that goes. Iron and Frost. So Emma Frost, perhaps as Iron Man. Laura Kinney, Sabretooth. Let's see. Rogue Storm, a Rogue versus Storm title. Radioactive Spider-Man. Great. What's up? What's up, Spider-Man? Omega Kids. Long Shots, which deals with Mojo and Longshot. Totally there for it. The Sinisters 6, which has, I forgot who all the characters were, but it was something like Domino and Havoc. Here for it. Undeadpool, X-Vengers, and X-Men Book of Revelation. Great. So those are a lot of titles. But I'm here for it. So it's starting this October. I think this is fun. Let's see what they're doing. What this gives me is this. I kind of did get some tea on the back end that this was coming. I mean, we saw the promos for it, of course, but I kind of got the tea that it was how it was unfolding. So I was like, okay, they're putting together something. I don't want to say last minute, but in publishing, I think this is something that people often forget. You plan ahead. You have to think about what you're going to be publishing 6 months from now. So even though it was a while ago that I heard about this, I was like, oh, okay, wow, that it's kind of coming together right now when you think that would have been part of a larger plan. My feel is this is a hold crossover, kind of in the same way that X-Men Disassembled was a hold crossover, and Age of X-Men. Those were all hold crossovers in order to get to the relaunch, which was House of X Powers of 10, the Krakoan Age. So this, to me, feels like they're holding the months as they're preparing for a larger launch. That's just my opinion on it. Let's see where it goes. Even so, regardless of that, whether I'm right or wrong on that, speculation. I have no tea on that. That's just speculation. I'm pleasantly surprised at how much I like this issue, and I would love to know your thoughts below, Familia. So please hit us up at Power of X-Men on Instagram. YouTube is always going to be a work in progress for us, for like the 5 people who tune in. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button if you should be so inclined. We really do just love to geek out, chat about comics. We have liked X-Men since the early 90s. We are going on 4 decades. In a couple years, I will be an X fan for 4 decades. I'm now technically I'm like 34, 35 years of a fan. But anyways, give us your thoughts below, Familia. Let us know your feels on Age of Revelation by Jed MacKay and Humberto Ramos, and we'll see you next time.